Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to another episode of the Jimnasium Tailgate, the Garage's College Football Corner. As always, I am your host, XFL Jim, joined by my illustrious co-host. It's the Gulf Coast guru himself, the GCG Magic fucking Mike. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother? That was a hell of a week one, wasn't it? Looks like every one of us campus prophets kind of crushed it this week, man. Love it.
I think so. College football is fully back, and I am fully fucking here for it, man. I missed it. I missed it so bad. It feels, in some respects, it feels like it's been longer than a year because last year was so wonky and weird.
Yeah, dude. I gave up on last year.
I'll say this, and I think it's especially fine. We're going to hear it from announcers probably for the next month and a half. It's awesome to see fans back in the stands. It really is.
Yeah, watching Jenny Taft jump around at Camp Randall, that was all I needed to see. But even the Ohio State Minnesota game, watching those fans at TCF Bank, it was just it was like I was a kid all over again. It was exciting.
There was that, the Enter Sandman.
Yes.
Seeing the Rose Bowl kind of go up and fill up. Michigan was super full. And I tailgated in Nebraska and just being able to hear the fans there. I'm so happy college football's back, man. I'm so fucking happy.
Were they still on it there in Nebraska then? Were they excited?
Still sell out.
Okay, there we go.
Sell out. And they sold those 1,200 left or whatever. But that means there was only 1,200 left.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison to the rest of the stadium, that's not bad.
Yeah, so
it went to a good cause.
It was a good tailgate environment and whatnot too. It was a good time.
Good. I'm glad. Hopefully they get it going there, man.
I fucking hope so. At least it was a fun game. It's always nice to get a win. What do we have going on? That's right, our top fucking 25s. You ready to go through your top 25, my top 25, the Garage's top 25, my man?
Absolutely, dude. You got anybody off the top of your head that's just off the list, just off the cusp here?
Off the top of my head, honestly, the way they looked, maybe Michigan State might be in my top 30.
Yeah, dude. So I guess I'll get to Michigan State. That was really impressive what they did, though. I don't know if I'm bought in, but it was impressive. I got to say, if this list was made even a half hour later than when I made it, Ole Miss might make the
I was going to say, yeah, we are recording this during the Ole Miss game. They very well might be on that list. They're definitely on the short list.
There, some teams that caught my eye that didn't make my 25. I got UCF. I mean, it wasn't crazy impressive, but they took care of business. They put away Boise. NC State, a big win over USF. I know they aren't very good, but you put them away, took care of business. Florida did well enough against FAU. Maryland, that surprising win over West Virginia, did not see that coming. And Kentucky, I like the fact that Stoops knew what the spread was apparently and went out and got that bullshit touchdown just to cover it. So those are some teams I was looking at.
Virginia Tech also on my list, my short list for a little bit. Fuente actually showing he's actually not that bad of a coach if he chooses to be.
Yeah, I guess that's when I'll explain how my lists work from week to week. Fuente, you're going to see on my list, despite how much I hate him. I go off of, so we made preseason top 25 rankings. Some of these teams met up with teams that were ranked, and if they beat them, that was one of the most impressive wins to me. So Va Tech is probably going to be pretty high on my list. Just a little spoiler alert, one of the better wins of the week.
Va Tech is right there on the cusp for me. They're probably my last cusp team. Let's just jump into this.
Let's do it.
You are the co-host, my illustrious co-host, the GCG himself. You are the college football man. Why don't you start this list off?
Yeah, dude, right now, at this moment, since Ole Miss is not over, because Ole Miss probably would have been this spot, but I did go Michigan State. You went over to Northwestern and you took care of them on their own turf. I mean, I think it might be a little bit more of Northwestern is just not in a good spot. It might be a down Northwestern year, but right now,
I'm potentially worried about that.
Yeah, I think it really does look like it. I think that's definitely more likely than Michigan State's a world beater. But man, Kenneth Walker looked good. I knew that was going to be good. He did great at Wake Forest last year.
Yep.
The dude's good. The team looked good. So yeah, Michigan State, my 25.
I am thinking that Northwestern, watching this game, it makes it apparent that Northwestern is going to be going through some growing pains with this new defensive coordinator, which makes sense. You've had a guy there for literally forever.
Right. And they did the audible on the quarterback like all within the last week too. It seems like it's a bad situation.
My top 25, my 25th team is actually a team that struggled a little bit. I had them. It was hard for me to go between Michigan State and this team. I ended up going on this team, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
They struggled. They didn't look great, but I still have faith in Mike Gundy. And they got the win. And if you can win games where you look bad, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, going up with a little bit of a tricky coach on the other side with old road rash face, you
can never count him out.
No, and I'm sure he did his best to absolutely have something drawn up there. So, hey, yeah, that's it. Sometimes it's you won, and that's all that matters. And there's a lot of teams in my top 25 that had bad wins, but they were wins. And I still like your program. I still like what you got going on. You got it done. So I'm with you on it. My 24 is going to be, hey, I'm finally going to we had blue khakis on the field this week. We had blue khakis. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan, not ranked last week on my list. They are now in the 24 slot for me. They beat Western Michigan 47-14. They looked like they had some running backs out there that can make some noise. McNamara looked well enough. I mean, you got Washington coming into town this week, and I feel a whole lot more comfortable picking Michigan now.
I definitely do. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure Washington was my biggest drop.
Yeah,
week 0 to week 1.
Well, my biggest knocked out of my top 25 is gonna be Clemson, because like I said, that's how I do it every week. Your loss isn't that impressive to me, so I did drop them out. They'll make it back in. Don't worry, people. I'm not insane. They'll be in there at some point, but right now they're out.
I like how I especially like how we do our list differently. It creates the nice little variety there.
Yeah, it's just you got to put the extra work in to just redo it every single week. These teams are going to pop in and out. Clemson's not going to lose every game. They'll be back.
Oh, I still have them in mind.
Yeah.
I'm one of those. I'm a filthy AP like person that won't. I'm still going to have them in. I definitely dropped them, but I still have them in here.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I got worries about that team after this week, though. DJU does not look good.
He does not have the best pocket presence. He holds on to the ball way too long. And that offensive line is potentially worrying. I could very much see Clemson losing one more game this year.
I can too. They really did on both sides of the ball. They got manhandled on that line, man. They did not win that trench battle. I mean, Georgia didn't do anything crazy impressive. The defense was fantastic, but they just manhandled them. They just out physicaled them.
My 24 team, the Missouri Tigers.
Ooh,
it's another situation. I moved them down a little bit. I was actually coming into the season pretty high on Missouri, so I've moved them down a bit. They looked like they struggled. I hope this isn't really a sign of things to come. I hope this is just kind of like a week 1 clunker, getting it out of your system. But as it stands, they're probably the 4th best team in the East.
which is rough because the East is
rough. That's rough because the East isn't great.
It was Central Michigan plays these teams tough, man. They did even before McElwain. McElwain wasn't out there, but what was that boy's name? Sawyer?
Yep.
Jacob Sermon, the quarterback they got. He looked fine. That's a competent team. That's not a bad win. I was on Central Michigan with the points. I thought it was going to be kind of that type of game. So, yeah, it's a good win. It's a good win. At 23, I have Arizona State. They were 21 for me last week. They took care of Southern Utah, so whatever. They stay in the rankings. Nothing impressive, but hey, you're there.
I actually moved this team down in a win, but I moved the other team to unranked. UCF at 23. Yes, they won the game, but they had to make a comeback, and I think that's more Boise State kind of giving that away. UCF didn't look super impressive to me.
No, Boise, they jumped out 21-0. I thought it was all over but the crying, man. And good for UCF. You stayed in there, but Gabriel didn't look 100% confident in that offense. There was a lot of dumb things going on. And then Mr. Bachmeier, still not impressed by that man. He gave that one away. So
he really did. I wish Hank Bachmeier still leaves a lot to be desired in that team.
Agreed, man. Agreed. So that's your 23 was UCF, right? All right, my 22 moved up a couple notches from 24 last week. It's going to be Auburn. Hey, whatever. They win. They took care of business against Akron. Akron sucks. They beat them 60-10 at home. Honestly, that game was even further apart than that. But, yeah, Harsin, fine job, 22.
I want to use my 22 spot to shout out the Big Sky FCS conference, just fucking dominating against the spread. And what was it, 2 or 3 straight up wins?
Yeah, man. I think it was 3, wasn't it? You got Montana
over Washington. You have
Eastern Washington
over
UC Davis.
And UC Davis over Tulsa.
Yep, Eastern Washington over UNLV. Yeah, the hell, and I think they covered like every other spread too.
I think so.
So yeah, they were fantastic. Is that your 23?
I actually have Oregon here, but Big Sky is just as deserving. Montana,
yeah, absolutely.
You could put Montana here, and I wouldn't be.
No, I mean,
it's Oregon.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Oregon. What'd you think about that game?
I mean, it's a situation of win your clunkers. The Pac-12 North in general is not looking very strong. I thought this division was going to be actually pretty tight and pretty interesting this year. The South is looking way more interesting with UCLA coming alive and Utah being a team potentially.
Yeah, man, I agree. Oregon, they struggle with Fresno State. They played a close one.
Fresno State's a good team.
Fresno State. You're right. Absolutely, it's a good offense. So hey, good on you to put them away. I guess I got them a couple spots up. So they dropped on my list, but they maintained. My 21, I'm going Notre Dame. They were 17 last week. You went to FSU. You got the win in overtime. That game was just as unpredictable and wild as I thought. But what I really took from that game, the thing that really worries me, especially being a Notre Dame fan, but it's okay because I didn't have my hopes up. I've been kind of down on Notre Dame this whole offseason. Both sides of the line, they didn't run the ball well, and Florida State ran the ball well on them. That's not going to be good coming up. We got games with Wisconsin, with Cincinnati. That's not a good thing. That line's going to have to improve.
But the good news is if that line does improve, I feel like you got to be really happy with Jack Cohn.
Yeah, honestly, I keep
He's solid. Stance. It's another Notre Dame solid quarterback.
I keep this stance at all times. There's and it's both. It's both Brian Kelly and Wisconsin. I will never say any quarterback that comes from the University of Wisconsin is ever going to be good. Graham Mertz showed everybody that kept talking about it this year. Wisconsin quarterbacks suck. They're always going to suck. They're terrible. Cohn looks good in Brian Kelly's offense. Brian Kelly is such a quarterback-friendly coach. That's why when these guys go to the NFL, Deshaun Kaiser, they're not good.
Yep.
It's because Brian Kelly, you run a route, you go out there, they're all little quick routes, you fucking sling the ball on the first look, that's it. If the first look isn't open, they just scramble out for a couple yards, and that's it. So it's not a complicated offense. It's very quarterback friendly. Jack Cohn, I will say, is absolutely perfect for the offense. So he's going to look good all year.
My number 21, they had a team come there. They blanked them. It's the Kansas State Wildcats.
There you go.
Love this team. They look dominant in a low-scoring win. And I'm dreaming for a Farmageddon Big 12 championship matchup.
Ooh, would that be awesome? That team is fun. They got a lot of playmakers on that offense. It's almost like Bill Snyder just stayed there. It really, Chris Kleiman, he's just passing. He's taking the torch.
Perfect coach for K-State.
He is, man. He's just kept the same type of thing. Like you got really cool running backs that are just fat. I mean, Deuce Vaughn, he's just like Darren Sproles. It's the same thing. And then you had that Brooks running around out there making plays. Skylar Thompson, not a great passing quarterback, good runner and can make some of the throws. I'm right on board. That team looked really good. They're a little higher on my list, as a matter of fact.
Ooh, I like that.
Liberty was my number 13 team. They're bumped down to number 20. Nothing they really did. They took care of business against Camel. But, hey, how much credit can you really give them for a 48-7 win over Camel? Good for you. Go Liberty.
I'm actually keeping up a tradition of always having a team that's probably deserving not on my list. This week it's Liberty. Last week it was Oregon.
There we go.
I'm kind of keeping that tradition where I always forget to put one team on here. There's probably one team that I could replace, like Oklahoma State, knock them off, put Liberty there. But whatever. I forget. It's top 25.
Hey, no worries, man. Hugh Freeze will use it as bulletin board material. He'll point
Use
to
it.
Malik Willis, be like, "Hey, XFL Jim doesn't think you're in the top 25."
Use that, have a great season, then become Nebraska's head coach.
There you go.
My number 20 team, you mentioned them earlier, blue khaki season. It's the Michigan Wolverines. I think this team is actually looking like it's making me think that the East is going to be super competitive this year. I think they have the potential. If they can show this week in and week out and show some improvement, like Penn State looked really good. Michigan looked pretty good. And then you can never count out like a Rutgers now. Like Schiano.
Yeah, Schiano's going to catch somebody this year, man. I really think so. They went out there and straight just mollywop Temple. Now, I mean, we weren't very high on Temple, so, there's that. But, yeah, Rutgers, they looked good. Yeah, the Big Ten got some players. They were definitely one of the most impressive-looking conferences this week, that's for sure. So, my 19, I got Oregon. They were my 11. Yeah, we talked about Oregon, so you can go ahead with your 19.
Good old Oregon. My 19 team I've been super high on, and I don't think anyone else has been. I'm even more high on what I saw after the Clemson stuff. Give me the Pitt Panthers.
Yes.
Give me Pitt. Give me Narduzzi. They could have been more dominant in their win, but I still like it. You're taking care of business.
Yeah, they went out there. They took care of business. They covered, right? And then minus 38. I believe they covered that. We're going to see, really, I mean, I'm sticking to my guns on that game coming up this week. It's going to be one of my big upset picks. I know it is. If I assume they're going to be underdogs, but I'm still going to roll with Pitt going to Tennessee. So I'm on board. They're not my 25, but let's see what they do against Tennessee.
I am very excited for them versus Tennessee.
I am too, man. Tennessee struggled against Bowling Green. That wasn't a good look. My 18, I got Coastal Carolina. They were 22 last week. Jump up a couple spots, whip the shit out of Citadel. That's fine. Everything looked to be firing. So looks like everything's still on board. Grayson McCall running the show. So, yep, let's go. Jamie Chadwell.
I'm actually right there with you on Coastal Carolina at the 18 spot.
There we go. All right. Yeah, anything to add on that?
I don't really have anything else to add. They look pretty darn good. They look much improved. And they got to be the favorite now for the Sun Belt.
You would assume so, especially after ULL. That was depressing.
Super depressing, man. I mean, still fuck Texas forever. They're not in my top 25. ULL just looked bad.
Oh, the way I did it, I had to give Texas.
I mean, you have
credit.
to. You have to. You are an integrity first kind of guy. I am a gut first kind of guy, and I just can't. Texas, they're another one of those teams that is like right on the outside for me.
I'm glad you're that way, man. I'm glad the whole garage isn't going to give them credit. I'm sure Chase will be on board too. It's good. You guys keep exactly where you're at, and I'll fan that.
You balance flame. It out. I respect that.
All right, man. Well, we'll go 17 then. I got my previous number 3 ranked team, Iowa State. They took a fall here. Man, I wouldn't. The thing I would say
to Iowa, much into it. Northern Iowa plays both of those Iowa schools really close, consistently.
Yes, absolutely. Leo dropped that on Campus Prophets. That was one of his favorites of the week, and I was thinking that right when he said it. I was like, man, Northern Iowa, they don't mess around with these Iowa teams. They always play tough, and also Iowa State notoriously slow starters every single year. So don't read too much into it. They're 17 just because of what played out on the field, but they'll jump back up, man. It
does worry me for Iowa State versus Iowa, but that game is always a toss-up anyway.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's in Ames this year. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. My number 17 team, it's a team you're way higher on. I moved them up for me. They were in my, I had them hovering around the 20 spot. I actually had them at 25. They have moved up now to 17. Potentially, I should put them higher. I had the Nevada Wolfpack.
Yeah. Oh.
Quickly becoming one of my favorite FCS schools. It does suck that I've been on Cal all the time, and Nevada just took it to them.
Yeah, man. Well, that was a tricky matchup, being that they were the ones that shot down our boy Carson Strong. So you had him come in there with a little chip on his shoulder. Team had just enough talent to get it done. So also, I'm gonna really like that win because it made me some money. So I'm cool with it.
Love it. Okay, that does help me process that.
Yeah, and Cal will be fine. Cal will come back around. They'll be all right.
I mean, Cal will probably be. I could still very easily see Cal winning the North, and by very easily, I mean the North is just a giant toss-up. All these teams are kind of close and eh.
Who knows when this season rolls around? Pac-12 and the ACC always, and the Coastal at least.
Coastal's wide open.
It's always a train wreck. Who knows what's going to happen this year? Jeez. 16, I got a Pac-12 team. I got my previous number 10, Utah. Not overly surprising, really. They, didn't go out there and crush Weber State. It looked a little further apart than it really was on the field. They played them close for about a half. So Weber hung in there. That's a chippy little FCS program. No problem with it. Just wasn't one of the most impressive wins of the week. So 16 for Utah.
16 for me. It was an impressive win. I think USF might have one of the worst teams in the country. NC State is my number 16 team, the Wolf Pack on the East. I actually did a double Wolf Pack in a row.
Yeah, man. You can never go wrong with that. You had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash there then.
Fuck yeah. I think NC State is going to have a pretty damn good year.
I think so too, man. They're like I said, they're on my honorable mentions. They were the second team kind of on the outside looking in for me. So, and that's mostly because I give USF about as much credit as I give some FCS programs. So,
yeah, they're like the Akron level for me.
They're getting
like
there.
Akron, or like, they're not quite Bowling Green, but they're bad.
They're getting there, man. They are close, and their quarterback play is atrocious.
It might honestly might be. I hate to say this about a college kid, but he might be the worst quarterback in college football. And I'm not just saying FBS.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. He looked absolutely lost out there. That was terrible. So going on to, did you do your 16?
That was my 16.
NC State. Right. 15. Okay, so we're in the top 15. I got TCU. They were 12 last week for me. Dropped a couple spots because of the competition they played, but they had Duquesne come to town. I wonder how much they paid Duquesne to come all the way down there to Texas. They're a PA school. But yeah, they laid it on them 45-3, took care of business. So yeah, good week for TCU.
Love seeing that. TCU was one of those schools I had right outside the top 25 as well. They're kind of hovering right around there with the Michigan States of the world. Just like you said, they took care of business. That's exactly the type of win you want to see if you're TCU when you're playing a cupcake like that. Really excited to see them in the next 3 weeks.
Yes, absolutely.
Can't wait till conference play starts.
They're going to turn some heads, man.
Mm-hmm. My 15 we just talked about, Utah, the Utah Utes. They dropped a little bit for me. That was a close win. I know Weber State's a really good FCS, but you gotta be more impressive than that, Utah. If you want to turn the eyes of the college football world at large, you need to have some big wins.
Yeah, and looking for old Charlie Brewer to light the scoreboard up a little more. So hopefully they get that thing ironed out. I think they could be a really good team with that defense. But
do Kyle Whittingham teams generally have slow starts as well? I don't remember.
Utah more or less. More often than not, they'll fuck someone up every now and then.
Yeah.
But they're just an erratic team in general. There's games that you think they're going to win by 30, they win them by 10. And then there's games you think they're going to lose and they win them by 30. It's all over the place. It's just, at the end of the year, the wins are going to be there. That's basically a Kyle Whittingham team. Yeah. They're going to win. It's just, who knows by which week.
They're a terrible favorite spread team.
Yes, but a great underdog.
Great underdog spread. They're one of those teams.
Yes, absolutely. Coming into my 14 then, they were the number 1 team for me last week. Oklahoma. Almost dropped that game to Tulane, man. What I will say for Oklahoma is a positive and a negative. The negative, Spencer Rattler coming out the gate throwing picks again. I'm not sure I'm 100% bought in on that kid.
He might need to get the rust off because he might be one of those slow start guys that needs to throw himself into it and get the first couple games under his belt. Because who knows, come conference play, he could be looking lights out, or he could be throwing picks left and right. You never know.
And that's how he did last year. He came out slow and cost them a couple games. And I just kind of chalked it up to COVID. It was a first-year starter and, the COVID offseason, blah, blah, blah. But here we are again. Now, here is the thing I will say. Tulane, this game wasn't even supposed to be in Norman. It got moved because of Hurricane Ida, went to Norman to play. I think it was just such a weird spot. The fans were, the stands weren't even packed at all. I was kind of clicking in and out of that game, especially as it was going on and it was still close. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of crowd action going on there. I think it was just a sleepy, weird game. Once it got displaced, I don't think there was any worry for Oklahoma until the game was close in the fourth quarter. And then they're like, oh shit, So I think it was more of a spot situation thing, but yeah, they dropped them down to 14 for me.
My 14 team actually had a fairly impressive win. Shout out to Beho. It's the Kentucky Wildcats. This team is looking very promising.
Yeah, dude, I'm on board with that. Like I said, they were just outside my top 25 looking in. What, they got Missouri next week?
Interesting game.
Yeah.
Very important game for the East, in my opinion.
It's absolutely important game in the East for me too. So you're right on there. My number 13 is going to be Texas A&M. They were my number 9. They played Kent State. Looking at the scoreboard, 41-10. That looks pretty dominant. However, that game was kind of a game for a while there. Kent State really hung around.
Yep.
A&M talent just ended up prevailing. So I think A&M is going to be fine this year, but not a lot to take from that game, really. I guess when it was needed, it was there. They pulled away. So good for them.
Hopefully, though, you gotta wonder if they're up against better competition, if they ever fall asleep at the wheel like that. That's a worry.
Yeah, absolutely.
My 13 team is also in the SEC West. It's the Florida Gators. Chomp, chomp, chippity chomp. Not too much to say. They look good. They look fine. Dan Mullen's a good coach. I'm still waiting to see. This is still a wait and see. I didn't move him too much from where I had him last week.
Yeah, they got a couple more garbage opponents, don't they? And then
that's always all those Florida teams just do such a good job scheduling for themselves that they just play shit.
That's the thing is maybe they blow out the next one. I think they got USF next. They probably completely wipe the floor with them. But then what are they going to creep into your rankings and then play Alabama? We'll see how that goes.
They'll creep into my rankings, play Alabama, and then get absolutely ass blasted by Alabama.
Yeah, we'll get to Alabama, I am sure.
Mm-hmm.
Coming up, number 12. This is a team that you already covered. They were not ranked for me last week. Kansas State brings Stanford down to Texas. That. Neutral site game. Definitely a Kansas State crowd. Man, did Manhattan turn up. But yeah, that was a dominant win. It was one of the more impressive wins of the week for me. They played a Power 5 opponent and completely controlled the game. I never was in fear for my -3.5. I was pretty comfortable all game. The only thing I would say that I would worry about is that Stanford looks just about as damn bad as I thought they would be. Those quarterbacks, 2 or 3 of them that played, also might be the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Really bad. Really, really fucking bad. My number 12 team out of the Pac-12 South, the USC Trojans. A nice little win against San Jose State. They could have looked a little better, but they won 30-7. Can't complain too much.
Yeah, they dressed it up a little bit, but San Jose State's a good team. It was a good win, so can't argue with that. They're going to show up for me too, man.
Oh, yeah. Definitely love that.
So I got at number 11. They were my number 14 last week. It's the Nevada Wolfpack. We already talked about it. They went into Cal. They won 22-17. Hey, I don't know if this team's going to be in the top 25 2 weeks from now for me, but right now they looked good on paper before the season started. They went in. They got a tough win on the road against a tough team. I'm giving them some credit for it, so go Wolfpack.
I'm definitely loving that Nevada over, by the way.
Hell yeah, it looks even better now, man.
So fucking good. My number 11 team, they played last night, Notre Dame. I think I'm giving them credit. FSU looked really good. In my opinion, they looked pretty good. And even if you're going to let a team come back like that, if you could still grab the win, I might argue Mike Norvell kind of gave that away in some respects. But you still get a win where you are giving the game away. I'm going to give you credit for that. I dropped them a little bit. I had them a little bit higher to start the season. But just like you said, we talked about it earlier, those lines need some work. The offensive and defensive lines need some work for Notre Dame.
Yeah, definitely not looking like they've looked the last few years here. So my number 10 dropped a couple spots. They were number 8 for me last week, but nothing they did wrong. It's Cincinnati Bearcats. They played Miami of Ohio, that's actually a rivalry game. It's a pretty feisty rivalry game, honestly. But since they big brothered Miami of Ohio 49-14, gotta love it. There's just a couple teams that jumped them only because they played some stiffer competition. So
my number 10 team, the last Pac-12 team I have on this list, UCLA Bruins, getting it done against LSU and Eddie O. That run offense is looking fucking good. UCLA actually might be my favorite for the Pac-12 right now.
Yeah, man, I'm getting hesitant to buy in a little bit, but I mean they're
It's
really
hard
high
to
on my
with Chip
list.
Kelly as a coach. It's hard to fully buy in. And I know Chase never will because he's very anti-Chip Kelly. But man, I'm pro Chip Kelly. I love it. I love that he's brought the visor back. I love that DTR has been improving a little bit each week.
I like that he went to this look. Remember in the heydays of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson on Sundays, Mickelson would wear the black and you could always see his nipples through his black, mesh shirt, not mesh, but that dry fit material.
Yep.
And now Chip's wearing it. So I'm like, all right, go get him, Chip. You got it. They're going to show up a little higher on my list. It's just hard to buy in because I know I love watching Chip Kelly football. There's something about it that I really like. I don't like him as a person. But
he's
him,
a terrible person.
Yes, him in college football, his college football teams are just like the old fun West Coast teams that you loved, where this is just a speed game. We're going to play at breakneck speed and fucking run the ball all over the place. It's amazing. I love watching it. It's just it always ends up losing somewhere where it shouldn't, and that's what pisses me off about it. So hopefully that doesn't happen, and he gets through this schedule this year. I have at number 9, I have the USC Trojans. They were 16 for me last week. Like I said earlier, they dressed it up a little bit at the end of the game, but solid win over San Jose State. Came out, blew them out, got it done. There you go.
Number 9 for me, I actually have Texas A&M. Like we were saying a little bit earlier, that it was deceptively close. Like that game was extremely close going into halftime versus Kent State, but they pulled away when they had to. I just moved Texas A&M a little bit. They're still hovering around where they were.
All right. Yeah. Man, Spiller's a beast too. Both those running backs look good. Both those dudes looked good. I have at number 8. They were not ranked for me. They are all the way up to 8 now. I have 3 teams in a row coming at you that I didn't even have ranked last week. So number 8 is going to be Iowa. Just went out and absolutely destroyed a ranked Indiana team, 34-6. Dominated the game from whistle to whistle. Looks like another standard good Iowa team. I mean, we'll see what happens when they start going on the road and stuff. But as of now, one of the most impressive performances of the week. And it was like my favorite game to bet, and I crushed some money on it. So, hey, I'm going to give you number 8.
That was such an easy
play. Yes.
My number 8 is actually Iowa State. I think I'm going to give them some credit for, usually this is a game Iowa State would lose. This is ULL last year. This is an FCS school that's good when it comes to Ames at the beginning of the season. They lose that. They get it. They get a win in a clunker, and I'm going to give them credit for that. I think this is just a weird Northern Iowa game, so I dropped them a little bit. I had them way higher, but I couldn't justify in my own heart of hearts to drop them out of my top 10.
That's fair enough. And this is the thing is everybody will freak out, if you go off the grid and you have teams move around like, oh, I got Iowa State at number 17 and I got Iowa at number 8.
It's kind of awesome.
It sorts itself out because guess what? They play.
Yeah.
So it's all gonna work itself out. And at the end of the season, both of our top 25s will look very close to the AP's top 25s.
They're going to look exactly. They're going to look super close. But it's kind of nice. We both have some wild teams, and I like that we're doing it in a different style. We got different ways of doing it.
There's more than one way to fuck this pig, Jim.
Exactly.
Who'd you give it? Did you just give it number 8? That was Iowa State?
Number 8 was Iowa State for me.
Okay, my number 7. And this is where I try to not puke on my microphone. It's gonna be Texas. The fuck Texas store is still in effect. It's still horns down, baby. However, I'm gonna give them the credit. They went out there, they beat one of my ranked teams. I had ULL ranked at number 18, and Texas gave it to them. Now, I will say that style of football that they played out there, it's going to be enough to beat a lot of teams. I still don't think it's going to be enough to hit their over 8. I really don't. I think 8's the ceiling. But Bijan Robinson is going to keep them in just about any game they play. Mm-hmm. The whole deal is once Card finally has to throw some actual deep passes, he was very protected out there. He was a game manager the whole time. Once that game has to go in the quarterback's hands and somebody schemes up for Bijan, that's the games that they're going to lose. So it'll sort itself out in the end on them. But for week 1, good win. Good for you, Sark.
Well, number 7, you just talked about them. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes looking dominant in a win over Indiana. It's hard to tell whether or not Indiana is just not the team we thought they were going to be, or if they're actually going to be legit. I still think Indiana is a potential bowl team, which is still a good season. Mm-hmm. And Iowa just took it to them. That defense for Iowa is good.
That's why it was my favorite game to bet this week. Is it was two teams that are exactly what I thought they were going to be. Indiana back to Indiana football, where they're better than they've been historically as a program. Tom Allen got them going, but they're still not going to roll into Kinnick and beat Iowa. Get the hell out of here!
It's not happening.
So all right, my number 6, man. This is so disgusting. These last two are so disgusting, but I got to give Justin Fuente a shout out. I got to give Virginia Tech some credit. Why? They weren't ranked last week. They're number 6 now. It's because they beat a number 15 ranked team. For me, I had UNC at number 15, and it was only a 17-10 win, but they absolutely controlled that game from start to finish. Burnmeister looked like an efficient enough quarterback. He could run a little bit. They were running the ball fine still, which is what they did well last year when they were clicking. And, hey, the defense, major improvement, made Sam Howell look like a joke out there. So, Tech, number 6, good on you.
Mac Brown out-coached.
Again.
Story as old as time.
Yep.
My number 6 dropped from number 1 for me to number 6. It's the Oklahoma Sooners. Getting it done, but man, they needed everything to be in this game. That defense is not what we've been led to believe.
It really wasn't, man. And I hope it's just that they suck this year. I honestly just think it was that sleepy spot with just how weird everything was that the game got moved to Norman.
I think so too.
But
I think it was that, and then Tulane does
suck.
have like kind of a weird offense. So I'm chalking up to a couple different factors, but it'd be awesome if they were just bad. That'd be a great way to end their tenure at the Big 12.
Absolutely, man. I just wanted them to win that game so bad for Tulane. God. All right, so up to number 5 from number 25 last week, all the way up to 5, the Penn State Nittany Lions, handing it to Wisconsin at Camp Randall, 16-10. They did everything they needed to do to win the game. It was a gritty game. It was a typical Big Ten football
Big Ten game. Great way to start off the season.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people complaining about it being sleepy, but hey, that's real football sometimes,
Big
man.
Ten football. That's a great
exactly. Game. That was a fantastic game. So that's my number 5. They impressed me.
That's my number 5 too. Penn State looked dominant. They looked. This makes me really. This is a really important game for James Franklin to get done, and he was a good statement. Clifford looked pretty darn good against a solid Wisconsin defense. I think Penn State is trying to cement themselves back at the number 2 spot in the East.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really hope this keeps up because I'm really sick of Ohio State just completely running away with this conference every single year. I really want Penn State to hang in there and give them a game. Just give them a damn game. My number 4, it's going to be UCLA. They were my number 19 preseason ranked. Now they're at number 4. We've got 2 games to look at from them now, which is something we can't say for any other team we've talked about yet. They came out, they took care of a group of 5 team Hawaii, 44-10. By the way, Hawaii, danger, not looking good out there, Todd Graham, through 2 games. But took care of Hawaii, completely dominated that. That game is much, much further apart than the 34-point difference that it ended up at. And then we got LSU come to town, and UCLA hands it to them. So everything looks good there. Everything's checking out right there. Right now, they're at number 4 for me.
My number 4 team, we talked about them a little bit earlier, the Cincinnati Bearcats. I love this team. They get it done in a rivalry game. Like usually those games are a little bit closer than anticipated, and they look dominant.
Yeah, they played the part, man.
Yep, I'm very confident in Cincinnati now winning the AAC.
Yeah. After seeing everything else, especially Houston, what the fuck is that? Tulsa. Man, it was not a good look for the AAC this week.
No, it was not. They're looking pretty rough. Mountain West.
SMU though.
SMU. I actually have a long shot ticket on SMU. So
yeah,
don't hate that.
Damn good. What Mordecai have 7 touchdowns? Hello. Number 3 for me. They were number 5 last week. Jump up a couple spots. The OSU Buckeyes. You went on the road. You took care of business in a very hostile environment against a pretty good team. Now, let me do my Ohio State hate for a bit. Just give me a little bit on each show to do some Ohio State hate, and I'm happy. I'll continue to just be on the show smiling every week.
Every day.
That fucking fumble just bounces, hits somebody's leg. It goes directly into a big fat D lineman's arms to run it back for a touchdown.
Talk about fucking luck.
And then what else happens? Muhammad Ibrahim's got over 160 yards rushing, just keeping Minnesota in the game solely on his legs. And, of course, he gets hurt, and now he's out for the season, which really pisses me off.
I fucking hate that.
Classic OSU.
God, he's such a good run. God damn it.
And then what happens? What happens already before Oregon comes to town next week? Thibodeau's in a walking boot.
Yep. Can you talk about another team that gets luckier and doesn't need it more than Ohio State?
No, absolutely not. I'm telling you, man, we talked about it last week and it already happened. The ball just bounces their way every single time, man. That's how it goes. It's just that fumble kicks off a dude's leg straight up in OSU defender's arms. He wasn't even hardly looking. It just happens that way for that team. And it's one of the main reasons I hate them so much because they don't need it. But why they're at number 3 outside of my hate, they looked better. I mean, Minnesota, PJ Fleck had the team motivated. He was throwing everything he could at that OSU team. And at the end of the day, OSU won, not just because of luck, but because they have playmakers all over the field. That offense, CJ Stroud, if I'm going to say anything good about him, it's that he looked composed no matter what. That kid didn't look like he hit highs. He didn't look like he hit lows. He just looked like that kid's out there to ball. I don't know if he's the most talented quarterback out there on the field. I don't know if he's one of the more talented quarterbacks we've seen from Ohio State, but he's got hella good receivers, and he looked composed.
He's got a good head on him.
Yes, absolutely. But I will say that their DBs left a little bit to be desired. Because Tanner Morgan actually looked like shit. And they were getting beat a lot out there.
It makes me worry, hey, Penn State, Sean Clifford. Hey.
Yeah. Sean Clifford better step it up, though. He didn't look all that sexy himself.
No, he did not. Ohio State's actually my number 2 team. I'm right there with you on everything. They looked the part against a team I had pretty high in Minnesota. I'm very upset with the outcome just because really hate to see a player like Muhammad Ibrahim get injured for the whole year. And selfishly, I not only do I have the Minnesota over, I also have them winning the West. So this hurts that, and I am a selfish man as well.
Yeah, and for PJ Fleck too, man. Yeah. That sucks.
My number 3 team, the Georgia Bulldogs. Dominant defense. Holy shit. I knew this was going to be a defensive battle. Also, I didn't hear any complaints on this game compared to the Wisconsin Penn State game. So
no.
Everyone can go fuck themselves on that. Clemson's offense leaves a little bit to be desired. That Georgia defensive line, though, is feasting, and they are fucking good. If JT Daniels can actually string together and get some receivers out there to actually throw to, Georgia's a dangerous team.
Agreed, man. Georgia's my number 2. Yeah, they the score was 10-3, but they dominated that game, and it's just they're going to be able to beat any team they play. I mean, the rest of their schedule is pretty much a cakewalk for them.
Yep,
it really is. This was pretty much their pre-conference championship.
This is everything. Maybe the Florida game because it's a weird rivalry.
Yeah,
that's about it.
They're going to have to. Georgia is going to have to beat Georgia for them to drop a game in the regular season this year. That's pretty much it. Their defense, like we said, looked amazing. Their offensive line opened up plenty of room for those running backs. They have 4 running backs that are just nasty out there. So, yeah, once they get that passing game going, if they do, look out. Look out.
Your classic Georgia running back stable back. And when that happens, fucking watch out. I could very much see them in the national championship talk.
Absolutely. So, hey, you want to go first or you want me? We both got the same number 1, right?
The same fucking team. It's Alabama, everybody. Big surprise. They look just as good as they fucking always have. Oh, my God. Bryce Young is so fucking good. What the fuck?
Man, and that's it, too. You got to see the other freshman quarterback out there like we just talked about, CJ Stroud, or, young quarterbacks like DJ.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryce Young, that dude in the pocket, out of the pocket, doesn't matter, has the arm to make all the throws, amazingly composed. Just the dude looked phenomenal. He's a problem. He is a big problem.
He's a huge fucking problem. And the Alabama defense looks improved from last year.
Yeah.
Nick Saban's a fucking wizard. He's a dark wizard. I don't know how the fuck he keeps doing it.
Is it is it already time to give Alabama the national championship, or is there at least the case that this Miami team just sucks like they always do, and they were
That very well
way
could be a
overrated?
combination of both. I'm gonna say if Georgia could get its offensive stuff put together, that defense is good enough to hang with Bama.
Yeah, I guess that's the real question. Have you seen anybody as of week 1 that looked like they could give Alabama a game right now?
Like a game, I wouldn't favor anybody, but a game, I would maybe. Georgia's defense gives me hope.
Is there anybody that you would make less than double-digit underdogs to Alabama right now? I guess that would be the question. Neutral site.
Neutral site, double digits.
I don't think for me there is.
I don't think like even as good as the defense is, I don't think Georgia's offense could keep up right now based off of week 1. This is a hot take week 1.
Yeah.
But
the way too early predictions.
Yeah. Double digits over fucking everybody.
Yeah, same here, man. I don't have a single team.
Yeah, after week 1, I can't think of a single team that would be like competitive against Alabama. It's
disgusting. The only two I think you could comfortably throw out there in any fashion would be Georgia and OSU, but Georgia, like you said, the passing game isn't there. They wouldn't be able to hang offensively. And OSU, like I said, those D-backs would get torched.
They get fucking torched, man.
Yeah. So, especially, I don't know who he is, but that number 29, God, he was bad. Just keep an eye on I would say maybe that'll be something for the guru to do throughout this week. And my homework is find out who that dude is and where he is on the depth chart, because you could have some big ass games against OSU with some receivers, whoever is lining up with that dude. Because I saw him get beat just all game. They were targeting him.
It's definitely something to watch out for.
OSU always has one of those corners, man. I'm looking at you, Eli Apple.
Yeah. Do you have any big, like, what are your 3 big takeaways from week 1 after seeing all this? Because, like, it's obviously, I'll say, and we hear from everybody, fucking be calm. It's just 1 week. It's especially just week 1. Some teams are knocking the rust off a little bit from the off season. Usually they say to, like, wait 3 weeks to, like, see what a team's really like. I still have hot takes, though.
Okay. All right. Well, you do the hot takes, and I'll do 3 things to that I learned this week. We'll say that. So my number 1, Bryce Young's really fucking good, and that dude is the Heisman favorite at this very moment. Favorite. That is my number 1 takeaway. Alabama is just as fucking good as they were last year, and it doesn't look to me like they're going to lose a game. What do you got?
UCLA is winning the Pac-12. They're the number 1 team in the Pac-12 right now, in my opinion. Chip Kelly looks like he's kind of turning it back on, and no other team, especially in the North, looks that impressive, in my opinion.
Okay. UCLA was going to be one of mine. I'll take that out of there. I'll give my number 2 will be Clemson's in a little bit of a danger zone here. There's a lot of good things about that team, a lot of things to like, but I think that any team out there that could get pressure on DJU, that dude showed me that he is a Drew Bledsoe type statue back there behind his offensive line, and he does not have good pocket awareness. You catch him from the blind side, he's going down, he's going to make mistakes. DJU has all the physical tools a quarterback could want, but the other things just aren't there. I'm not overly impressed, and I will not be shocked when, not if, when Clemson loses their next game.
Second for me, Rutgers is better than we fucking thought they would be. Schiano has this program going up to speed faster than we thought. I would not be surprised if Rutgers ends up in a bowl game.
Ooh, yeah,
there you go.
I'm on board, dude. I think you're dead ass right. Okay, so I'll go with the ACC Coastal is even more up for grabs than we originally thought they were.
Yep.
UNC falls in conference already. Hell, in division, Tech's on that side of the division, right? So
yep,
yeah,
it's like you got Virginia, you got Virginia Tech, you got Pitt, you got UNC. I think Miami is on that side too.
Miami is on that side. So yeah, you already saw the 2 top dogs from the Coastal, UNC and Miami, both not only get beat but both look bad getting beat. So the ACC Coastal, anybody's ball game right now. Tech out the gate has a leg up. So, hell, put some future tickets on whatever you want, because anything could fucking happen except for Duke.
I love my Pitt take so fucking much.
Dude, it looks infinitely better this week.
Give me Pitt every day of the week. My last one is the AAC is in trouble as like a G5 conference. They are looking very weak. Don't like that. You hate to see it. UCF getting like being your sort of premier program or one of the top 2 programs and like needing that kind of game to win. It's probably a lot of those teams are probably going to eat themselves alive.
Yeah, and what was the list of teams? Because I from what I'm seeing at this very moment, I didn't catch where the report came from, but it seemed pretty legitimate because wherever I read it stated it like it was a fact. It seems like the Big 12's not going away now, that they're getting 4 teams.
It does seem like it was like BYU, UCF, was Houston on that? Or
Houston was one, and then Cincinnati. So those were the teams. 2 of those teams are from the AAC, and they're two of the better teams. Yeah. Actually, 3 of those teams. Fuck. Yeah. 3 of those teams are from the AAC. So that's not good news.
It's not good news for the AAC. Everything trickles down in college football.
I'm surprised to not see SMU on that list. TCU
might be trying to block that.
Maybe, but you know what? TCU kind of got to fuck off. You know,
you kind of need everything you got. But how many Texas teams would that be then?
So that would be what?
Houston, Baylor, TCU, Tech.
So 4.
So Houston, Baylor, TCU, Tech, and then if you add SMU, that's 5.
Yeah. So I guess you could bump SMU and maybe get like UAB or ULL. Try to get
ULL. That would be tight.
You know, yeah. Try to get a foothold into the SEC that way through either Alabama or Louisiana would maybe be my move.
Turn ULL into a fucking Power 5 team. God. See what they can do.
I know, seriously, because I really do not want to see Cincinnati go to the Big 12 at all. I have no urge to watch that. I hate it. I already hate it with West Virginia. I can't stand it.
Yeah, they'd be so far away from everybody.
I mean, yeah, they'd just be like 6-6 every year, just like West Virginia. Oh, we win our home games because it's fucking 1,200 miles away.
To be fair, though, Cincinnati could probably recruit a little bit better than West Virginia if they're a Power 5 team. Because then all of a sudden, guess what? We're a Power 5 team. We have these resources in Ohio.
That's true. But, I mean, you're going to have to pull that talent even harder from Ohio State. And I don't know.
I think being a Power 5 team gives you that little leg up.
Does it if the kids know that they got to travel 1,500 miles on road games, though? You know, like
that is true. There's a lot of weird recruiting stuff.
I don't know if I'd want to do it if I was Cincinnati, and I don't really. I'm such a fucking old school like regional guy for college football, and I don't want to see those games. I don't want to see those games just as conference games. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate when a team like I don't know, Texas Tech is good. And they're going to go travel to West Virginia, and you just know it's a loss. It doesn't matter what those 2 teams. It's just a loss. You know, it sucks.
A couple of other takeaways I have. Kansas is back, storming the field after a win against South Dakota. Already pushing the over. Yeah,
you got to shout out Colby D on that one. The only one that had the balls to say it on the big megapod. You know, I know you and I were on board. But we didn't have the balls to be the one to be like, no, this is my favorite over-under. So shout out to Colby D on that one. Good look. Already a push. And
it all comes down to this Duke game, in my opinion.
Dude, how long have I been saying it? 2 coaches in opposite directions, and I'm feeling better now. Shout out Wheelie Hilly getting it done.
Hell fucking yeah.
Who'd you have get knocked out of your top 25 this week?
Outside my top 25, I had Boise State get knocked out. I had Minnesota get knocked out. I had Wisconsin get knocked out. I had Washington get knocked out. Pretty sure that might be it.
What the hell happened there? Yeah, I had Clemson, Washington, UNC, ULL, LSU, and Wisconsin all bumped.
UNC was my other one that got knocked out.
Yep.
And ULL. So, I had a bunch of teams.
Is that the upset of the week? I guess it's got to be Montana over Washington. That's got
to be. I get Montana's a good FCS team, but like Phil Steele had Washington in the playoffs.
Dude, I had them in the conference championship, which could still happen for them. They could still be in the
wild.
But I mean, they have no shot at the playoffs now.
No, not a fucking shot.
Jeez, man, that's a really surprising one. Mind blowing.
Man,
I mean, To me, that's almost more impressive than the App State when they went and beat Michigan, only because App State had won 2 FCS championships in a row when
App
they
State
did
was
that.
like they were like NDSU at the time in the FCS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They were. And they were that dominant. So, like, yeah, they went out there and they beat a number 5 ranked Michigan team, but it was Lloyd Carr, right? Or was that after Lloyd Carr?
Pretty sure that was the end of like the Lloyd Carr era.
Right. Trent going into like Rich Rod or Brady Hoke, one of them. Yeah. So, I mean, you caught a coach at kind of the end of his run there, and you're a dominant FCS program. That one, I mean, this Montana one, I know Montana's a good
play
FCS.
for a whole year.
Yeah, exactly. They played one game last year, so, and they lost like Samari Torrey, their best wide receiver. He went to Nebraska, so this team goes out there and just beats Washington in Washington. And, jeez, man, and beat them like the whole game.
Yep, not a great start to Jimmy Lake this year.
No, dude, and I was really high on Jimmy Lake. That's a bummer.
That is not a game I would see Peterson losing.
No, man, that's not a game Sark would have lost. That's not a game a lot of coaches would have lost. Hopefully
he turns it around. I'm not I'm not closing the book on.
I'll tell you what, man. We talked about it in the preseason. It's that damn Dylan Morris sucks. That dude is terrible. He's not a good quarterback. You got to put the freshman in. Put Sam Heward in. Let him sling the rock.
Now.
No, hell no. Yeah, you might as well put him in baptism by fire, because Dylan Morris is a game-managing quarterback that throws picks more than he throws touchdowns, makes 0 sense. Put Sam Heward in, get some air into the ball.
Also, shout out Nebraska 52, Fordham 7.
Man, they did hang around.
That offensive line looks bad. I'm just going to say it. Nebraska's offensive line looks really bad. I'm more impressed with Martinez. I'm more impressed with Adrian Martinez. He looks bad. I am upset that it seems like our entire offensive identity is, hey, what can Adrian Martinez do this play?
Well, I'll tell you what, and that's what I'm kind of happy to see from week 0 to week 1, was they would have easily beat Illinois if he'd have just let Adrian Martinez do what Adrian Martinez does. He tried to go out there and run an actual offense, and Adrian Martinez is not a good quarterback, but he is a good college quarterback. That dude can make plays. Let Adrian Martinez go out there and street ball style play, and let the defense be solid, because the defense is solid. And I think you could be a bowl team, 7 wins tops. Maybe you catch somebody. But if you go out there and you try to play, Big Ten football against Illinois and that style, you're going to lose all your games, because you're not going to beat. He's not that kind of quarterback. He's just not.
That, and I am very, very worried about our offensive line. That first quarter, they were getting pushed around by Fordham. So.
But you know what? You could get away with that when your quarterback can make some plays. You
can, and he can. But I am very worried. Like, I think maybe like the only other game we might even be like closely favored or just like a close underdog will be like Northwestern.
I'll tell you one thing you're not going to do is you're not going to outcoach anybody. I am off the Scott Frost train.
I'm done with that too. And with that bit of little optimism, that's where we'll end this episode of the Jimnasium Tailgate. My man, Magic Mike, the Gulf Coast Guru, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you guys can always find me on Twitter at GCG_wins. And you can find me making picks every single day. If I'm not making picks, I'm giving you just random college football information that's going to help you gamble, called College Football Fast Fives. It's over on betterthan.vegas. Follow them on Twitter at BTV Bets. Best thing going on in all of gambling sports. It's BTV. Love it.
Fucking love it. You can also find me over on BTV.Vegas, betterthan.vegas. Love the website, giving out picks all the time, dropping gymnasiums. I'm dropping hashtag garage certifieds. I'm dropping hashtag CFL certifieds. We got fucking football out the ears right now. NFL's coming up, so get fucking hyped for that. It's a great time of year. And before we dip out of here and everything, the Jimnasium Tailgate is brought to you by Nitro Betting. What do you love about betting? I love fucking easy deposits, easy withdrawals, and they make it super easy over at Nitro Betting. The best crypto book experience you could fucking ask for. You put your money in super quick. You take your money out super quick. You leave it in just in your bankroll. Guess what? You're making money because the crypto market's fucking crazy. So make sure you use the link in the description. I'll have links posted all throughout, especially in the audio version. Check out the description of the podcast because the fucking sign up link is right down there. Go sign up over at Nitro Betting. Do it Get your crypto betting on. It's going to be a fucking blast. Love you guys. Peace the fuck out. College football is back. Horns down.